time you actually have to simplify, like to take that b out, is if you're looking for the vertex. But here we're not actually looking for the vertex, we're just looking for the value of x. We're looking for the 0, right? So it's not necessary to factor out the b, but it's not wrong to factor out the b. Okay, I can see Katrina, you are about to get the exact same thing as Bryce. As is Sydney. Even though Sydney simplified and took that b out, notice she's about to get the same thing as you guys that didn't. Awesome. Well, I'm letting everyone have enough time to finish. Bryce and Katrina, you guys seem to be done. Are you sure that there actually were solutions to this? Are you sure about that? Was I just trying to trick everybody into doing all kinds of work for nothing? I don't know. How do you know, Bryce? Convinced me. You know, I have been known to toss in a few trick questions now and then. Positive. Oh, if they're both positive, wasn't that when there was no 0? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the absolute function when h and k were both positive. So a is negative and yeah, remember it was when a and k. It wasn't really about h for the 0. It was about a and k, and they're opposite signs here. So yeah, there should be 2 answers. Sydney, if you're there, can you press on your microphone for a sec, just so your name will show up in the participant list? There you are. All right. And I see that Simon and Adrian have got the same number. Oh, Adrian, you've got negative 3.5. Hang on, hang on. Ah, careful, it's 2x minus 5. You copied it down as 2x plus 5, Adrian. And Simon, same thing. It stays 2x minus 5 throughout the whole operation. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So my point about the B simplification. As I said before, if you do it right away, that's fine. Sydney did it, and she ended up with the 3.5 and the negative 1.5. She ended up dividing by the B in an early step. Well, everybody else ended up dividing by the B, but later on, right after you've split it into the two linear equations. I mean, one way or the other, you're going to end up getting rid of the B. Just make sure that you know, you're careful and don't make a mistake. All right, so 2 answers for this absolute value in equation. So let's just pretend that I'm watching what you're doing, Lucas, by the way. Keep going. Let's just pretend for a moment that that this equation had been about a square root function instead of an absolute value, and I'm just going to borrow your spot there, Simon. So let's say I had given you this. Where is this function equal to 0? First of all, is it possible that there will be also 2 answers for this one? What do you think? Knowing what you know about square root functions. What do you think? If it looks like this, or this, or this, or this. I'm really messing up your spot there, Simon. Yeah. So no, there's no way that it can have 2 zeros. Obviously, it can have 1, and it can have none. Like, all of those things are possible with the square root function. Just trying to clean up the mess I made here. Alright, so I'm actually going to ask you guys now to solve a square root equation, even though I haven't really shown you how to do it, because you know what? You already know all of the algebra necessary to solve it. And I'm just giving Lucas enough time to finish. So negative 1.5, good. I don't know where this came from, Lucas. The next step would be 2x minus 5 equals negative 2. It looks like you skipped some steps there. Oh, and you're getting, okay, never mind what I just said. Never mind, you're getting the right answer, 3.5. Cool. All right. So here you go. Without me telling you anything, if I could find a whiteboard, that would help. Yes, without me telling you anything, you guys are going to solve a radical equation. I know, I know. I'll type it in the chat. Careful, Katrina, that square root shouldn't extend past the equals, know what I mean, on your first line. Excellent. That's pretty instinctive, right? I mean, the opposite of square rooting is squaring, so yeah. And of course, you can always, if you're ever not sure, you can always just go back and Lucas, I'm going to borrow your spot here and just see if 25 actually works. Is square root of 25 in fact equal to 5? Yes, it is. Yes, so all is good. All right, don't erase anything. I'm going to write the next one in Lucas's space. All right, so Lucas, you don't have to rewrite this. What if I asked you to solve this one? Square root of negative x is equal to 5. Remember, the negative of x means the opposite of x. So some number's opposite has a square root of 5. What do you guys think? It is absolutely okay to square both sides. But the difference is, when you square both sides now, on the left-hand side, you're not going to get x like you did before. You're going to get negative x. Exactly. So, okay, I'll stop writing in your space there, Lucas. Go ahead, you guys. What are you going to get when you square both sides of that? Careful, Sydney. It looks like you've got an extra negative there. This. Is that a negative? Did you mean that to be a negative? And Bryce, when you square the left, you end up with negative x equals. The next line should be, and Katrina, same thing. Oh, you've got it. Okay, good. Negative x is 25, and that's why x turns out to be negative 25. And Lucas, you skipped a step. Okay, when you square both sides, negative x is 25. And then essentially, I don't see anybody doing this, but essentially, oh yeah, sorry, Bryce. What you're doing to both sides after the negative x equals 25 is you are dividing both sides by negative 1. That's how you're all ending up with the negative 25. All right. And again, if we go and check in the original equation, Simon, I write in your area there, if I take the square root of the negative of negative 25, sure enough, that becomes positive 25 just in the nick of time, and then we square root it. So it's all good. Questions, confusions, thoughts? I know, I do too, Lucas. I get that. No problem. All right. Do you guys remember for the absolute value function how sometimes there was no solution? How was that, how did we detect that when the absolute value was equal to what? It was a very subtle whispering kind of a thing. Exactly. So absolute blah 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 blah, it didn't really matter, but as soon as it was equal to a negative number, no solution. Oh, well, ask him again, Lucas. Can't hurt. Doesn't cost anything to ask, right? Okay, well, it's the same thing for the square root. Whenever you have the square root equaling a negative, that also means no solution. Like if I said to you square root of x is equal to -5, there'd be no solution to that. If I said to you square root of x is -1, what would the answer to that be? Yes, it would be the imaginary number that only exists in Barney's imagination land. But in our course, yeah, no solution. Does that make sense though? Do you see how that's a different question than this? We're not allowed to square both sides of this. Anybody know why? What algebra is stopping you from squaring both sides of this equation and this equation? That's true, but that's not why. That's not why we can't square both sides. It's very subtle. It's the most subtle algebra I think that I'm aware of. Oh, sorry, Adrian. Yeah, okay, that's true. That's true. What kind of a number is this? Everybody should be able to tell me, even though I haven't told you how much x is. Again, no. I'm not asking you what kind of a number x is. I'm asking you what kind of a number square root of x is. Is this a positive or a negative? Okay, so I'm going to tell everybody. It doesn't say it anywhere, but remember how in front of the square root, it's understood that there's a positive. If there's nothing there, there's a positive. Just like in front of the absolute value, if there's nothing there, it's understood to be a positive. That's why we can't have a solution to this, because this equation is saying a positive number is equal to a negative number. So is this equation. It's saying a positive is equal to a negative. Can't happen. So as soon as you see square root of something equaling a negative, you got to stop. Like I said, really easy to miss. All right, so I'm going to give you one. Maybe there's a solution. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, no, that's okay, Lucas. Just try it on paper. It's not worth the frustration. At least it's not the math frustrating you. All right, so once again, I see the same answer coming up. Are you guys sure there was an answer this time? You sure about that? You are? And how come? How are you so sure? How do you know? Okay, Lucas. Oh, nice. You sketched the graph. Excellent. Nice, Bryce. Nice, Bryce. Hey, that rhymes. Yeah, K is negative, A is positive. So once again, opposite signs. Where in the algebra steps did it tell you, it's okay, kid, go ahead, there's an answer? I'm going to say here in Adrian's, same place in Simon's. That step said you've got a positive equaling a positive. All is well in the world. Go ahead, square both sides. And you know what? That's pretty much it, you guys, with solving radical equations. It's easier in the sense that at most you'll get one answer instead of two with the absolute value, but it's harder in the sense that it's really easy to miss. It's a lot easier to miss when there's no solution. Excellent. You got the same thing, Lucas. Excellent. Okay. Before I turn you loose on stuff, I need you all to do a little experiment for me. I want to see if something is working on Sakai. Can you go right now into Sakai? Make sure you're logged into Sakai, but just to Sakai. and then go into our folder for week 12 and just click on any voice thread. Any voice thread, it doesn't matter. And what should happen is you should automatically be logged in to your VoiceThread account. Tell me if it's working. It was not working for everybody in my last class. Some yes, some no. You're not sitting. Now, Lucas, are you logged into VoiceThread because you already were before? Just trying to figure out why it's working for some people and not for others. And you're not, Brace. Okay. Okay, so it's inconsistent. Can you